Namaskar. I am Professor Dr. Jagdish Joshi, Professor and Director of UGC Human Resource Development Center of Gujarat University, Ahmedabad. I welcome you all to this 10-day national level online multidisciplinary short-term course on MOOCs, creation of e-content, and open educational resources. I would like to congratulate the principal of this government first grade college, KR Puram, Bangalore. Principal Shri Dr. T.C. Chandrasekhar. I would like to congratulate him. I would like to congratulate the program director. I would like to congratulate the program secretary. I would like to congratulate the organizing secretary and the coordinator of IQAC. And I would like to congratulate Dr. S.L. Patil, the program advisor, who has been in constant touch with me for this program. I know this college has been organizing multiple activities, and I am really very happy that the college is organizing a program which is a need of the day. The program is including various topics like MOOCs, online courses, tools of education, behind the MOOCs, that means what happens in the background of the MOOCs, citations, webinars, online tools for education, and various ideas related to MOOCs. It even includes e-assessment, and there are many ideas which I was told that they are conducting various discussions on these various ideas. I'm really very happy to see that this college is organizing such a program. Friends, I would like to say that this is the time of COVID-19 and the future, that means after COVID-19, this is the time of online education. UGC, Ministry of Human Resource Development, state governments, all the institutions of higher education, they are directly or indirectly told that you should go for online teaching and learning. UGC said that you should go for 25% of teaching online. Maybe many universities are saying that you should go for more than that online. So in this era, in this time, when we are looking at this COVID, when we are engraved with this kind of problems, we are working on something which is really very important. So today, I'm going to talk to you about introduction to MOOCs and online courses. This I'm going to talk to you. And friends, in this, I would like to talk about a quote which I always believe in, because there are many friends who get confused when it comes to a technology. They say that, okay, when technology will come, we will be replaced. But friends, I would like to tell you that technology will not replace great teachers. Technology will not at all replace great teachers like us, but technology in the hand of great teachers can be transformational. That means it can really change. And friends, it can really change how we contribute, how can we contribute, or how nicely we can contribute to the field of education. So I would like to say, friends, the technology in our hands, when we are great teachers, we know how to teach, we have this much content. And when we have this much content, presentation, knowledge about the students, knowledge about how to present, what to present, how to teach, we are the best people to go for online teaching. And friends, I would like to say that I have quoted George Couros. And when I quoted him, I would like to tell you, friends, I firmly believe in that the technology is there to assist us, not to rule us. So this is how I would like to say. And friends, I would like to say that what is the importance of technology? See, the importance of technology is it is there to assist us. It is there to help us to make our presentations, to make our teaching and learning better and better, and we can present it in a good way. There are different types of digital learnings which happens nowadays. Digital learning is generally identified as any type of learning that is facilitated by technology or by instructional practices, and that makes effective use of technology. So when we make effective use of technology, that is known as digital learning. And this digital learning, friends, is something which we all experience in today's life. We all experience which kind of digital learning happens to us. Our students, they are digital natives. And these digital natives, they very well know how to use this technology. When they know this very well, why should we lag behind? Why should we say that, okay, we are not aware of it? We are very much aware of it, and we should use it in such effective way. We should use it in such effective way that they should feel that, okay, we are speaking in that language. Because friends, it is very well said that those who don't know technology in today's era, they are illiterates. So illiterate of today is not a person who doesn't know language, but illiterate of today is a person who doesn't know ICT skills, who doesn't know technology. So we together, we will try to look at various aspects of technology and how can we make ourselves better presenters by using technology. Friends, these are some common digital learning tools which we can use at different intervals, and we can make our teaching and learning experience a better experience. There are various things like adaptive learning, Beijing and gamification. Adaptive learning, all of you know, I guess, so I won't go in details about it. And if you'd like to go in detail about it, you can consult Google, or you can consult various reference material which is available very freely in open educational resources. Blended learning is one of a very famous aspect. Classroom technologies, e-textbooks, learning analytics, learning objects, personalized learning, online learning, that means we call it e-learning, open educational resources, technology enhanced teaching and learning, virtual reality, augmented reality, and mobile learning. So these all are the aspects which we can use for making our teaching and learning more effective. Friends, when we talk of teaching and learning, making it more effective, it is a kind of digital learning which we are promoting. And all of us should know how to make this digital learning a better aspect, how to make this digital learning more effective in different ways. Friends, when we talk about digital learning, there are various things which are very important about digital learning. And they include creation of digital portfolios. Friends, do you know what digital portfolio is? Like we have our physical presence, we should have our digital presence as well. And digital presence, I means you should be present as you are present on Facebook, as you are present on Twitter, as you are present on various social media platforms. Like that, there are various platforms which are meant for educationalists. There are various platforms which are meant for people like us who really contribute a lot to education. So I would like to say, friends, that we all should know what digital portfolio is, and we should try our presence on digital portfolios. Let's have a look at what this digital portfolio is. This digital portfolio is a learning journey. It shows how we have learned and how we are learning, how we are going for various aspects, how we are going for various things. It is metacognition, it is visible thinking, it is assessment, it is now literacies and skills. And moreover it or upon it, it is branding, how to brand ourselves. See friends, it is a time that we should have global presence. It is a time that we can interact with people in the world. It is a time that we should go for purposeful presence which is visible to the world. If you teach just to your class, just to your students, you'll be visible only to your students. Only your students will know who you are. But if you teach on digital platforms, if you connect yourself with LinkedIn, if you connect yourself with Vidwan, if you connect yourself with different portfolio like Google Scholar or whatnot, then you will be visible to the world. You can share with friends and family. You can take ownership of whatever learning you are doing. You can become self-directed learner. You can be helpful to people studying all over the world or across the globe. A window into makers of classrooms that is also possible, track child's growth, and there are many things which we can do using this digital portfolio. In short, friends, if you create your digital portfolio like Vidwan or like Google Scholar or like LinkedIn or like other portfolios which are available on Scopus Index or any other such indexes, and you deliver lectures on YouTube and you create digital content, and if you create MOOCs courses like that, then friends, I tell you, your presence will be global, not just local. You will be available to people globally. People will be able to see you globally, and you'll be able to contribute globally. And friends, that is how Your presence will be global. People in the world can see you. It may be possible that people will contact you from different places. Your knowledge, your way of presentation, the way you do it, that everything will reach to the world, not to just one person. So that is how, and that is for, you should create digital portfolios. Now let us look at how this learning and teaching takes place. Friends, we all know that learning and teaching used to take place face to face. We all are aware of the face to face teaching. We all are aware of the way we are doing teaching from years, and it has been happening to us since years. But nowadays, it has changed. From face to face teaching, it came to a blended learning or a hybrid learning. You know, friends, what is hybrid learning and what is blended learning? So I don't think that I'll go in too much detail about the blended and hybrid learning. But as you know, that blended is a mix of face to face and digital. Hybrid is it's a better mixture. It goes one step ahead of it. And now when we talk of MOOC, it is at our time, our place, and our convenience. That means MOOCs look at the convenience of our students more. It looks at the convenience of the teacher, where you can create various kind of things and you can share various kind of things with your students. Now let's come to MOOCs, and I would like to show you exactly what MOOCs is. When I say MOOCs, I mean massive. There may be more than 1 lakh students in MOOCs just in one country. If we look at just India, there are number of students who are taking benefit of this MOOCs. That is why it is called massive. When I say 1 lakh students can be enrolled just for one course only. I would like to tell you here, friends, that I have been a coordinator of 2 MOOCs programs. I am fortunate enough to run 2 MOOCs programs which were sponsored by Ministry of Human Resource Development of Government of India. They have given me National Resource Center of UGC and MHRD. Under that National Resource Center, I have run 2 different MOOC programs. I guess many of you are aware of it. The first program was run in 1819, and under that program, I have trained about 2,500 participants. There was another such MOOC program, and that was run in 2019-20. Just recently, it was over. And till we are going to issue the certificate, the examination, and all the procedure of it is over. But I am very proud to say that, friends, that in this program, the last MOOC program of SWAYAM of MHRD, Government of India, of which I was coordinator, that was ARPIT program in English language teaching, annual refresher program in English language teaching. And for that, about 9,000 participants from various parts of India have enrolled in that, and they were trained by me in that MOOCs. So what I would like to tell you, friends, these many people are interested. Look at this program. What a number of participants are there. I was told that there is a huge number of participants who have joined this program. And friends, I would like to tell you, recently I have completed short-term courses. I have completed about 70 short-term courses. In those short-term courses, I have trained about 2,500 participants, teachers across India, who were very keen to learn how to develop e-content like you. So friends, what I would like to tell you is that this is something which is getting popular day by day. This is something which all of us like day by day, and we would like to learn better out of it. We would like to go more about it, and that is how we would like to practice more and more MOOCs. So when I say MOOCs, as I told you, it is massive open online course. When I say massive open online course, then here massive means big number. Open means anyone, anywhere can register for these courses. They are free of charge, and anybody who is interested in the program, they can do this and they can go for these programs. So that is how this program is known as MOOC programs. And friends, as you know, online means coursework is delivered entirely over the internet. It is whole program is delivered over the internet. And courses, we all know, MOOCs are very similar to online college courses or such other courses which we can attain, which many of us are attending or delivering at different parts of colleges. Now, let us try to look at what kind of system is followed in MOOCs. So particularly how these MOOCs are delivered, how these MOOCs are planned, let us try to understand. So when we talk about MOOC, it is massive. The number can be 100, 1000, 10,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakhs, more than that. And there are two different kind of MOOCs. One is a X MOOCs, that focus is on scalability, and one is a C MOOC. The focus is on community and connections. Generally, the MOOCs pattern is like there is open registration, local cohorts are there, self-paced, that means you can do the course at your speed. There are starting and ending dates. There are some MOOCs in which college credits are provided. There are some MOOCs in which college credits are not given. There are badges. There are different roles of instructors. There is a learning community which works in that. Scripted assessments and feedback is available. Real-time interaction is there. There is a space for interaction in which you can interact with different people. It is free of charge. And if you would like to go for certificate, they are affordable certificates. And this is open content. So this is how MOOC says. I just tried to tell you exactly how these MOOCs work and what exactly is very important about MOOCs. These MOOCs, exactly what happens is the MOOCs follow some particular procedure. The procedure is like they go for recruitment. As we go for recruitment, the topic of the MOOC is decided. Then the team is there which work for the syllabus. Then they decide the platform. After the platform is decided, they go for the recruitment of the students, and then they provide support. So this is a circle which is followed in MOOCs. Once again, I would like to repeat it for you. Topic is decided, team is decided, syllabus get decided, platform is chosen, student recruitment or the participant recruitment happens, and then people go for support. So provide the support to whatever MOOC program they are going for. Generally, the beginning of MOOC is like a person who would like to deliver a MOOC. He designs a structure. He decides a course. He designs a structure of the course content. Say, for example, I would like to go for online refresher course in English language teaching. I'll think that, okay, this is meant for professors. So what structure it should have, how it should be delivered. So these things are to be decided. Then content and video production happens. So we go for e-content, we go for video production, and we go for different kind of productions. Then we select a MOOC provider. There are different MOOC providers available. I'll talk about it later on. So you choose a platform, you choose a MOOC provider. After that, we go for technical integration. So there is technical integration of write-up. There is a technical integration of whatever we call videos, audio, different kind of applications. And then we go for promotion, and then we manage MOOC. So this is how MOOCs are delivered, and this is how MOOCs are developed. I would like to show you one more model of MOOC, which will be interested in having a look at. Exactly this MOOC talks about that how MOOC happens. So see, the MOOC happens like you go for team of recruitment, you go for conception of the course, you go for platform of the choice, MOOC review happens, MOOC conducting happens, MOOC launching happens, and then test of MOOC is very important. Test of MOOC means how will you launch the MOOC, on which platform exactly you will launch the MOOC. This is very important, and this is to be looked at very closely. I just told you before some time that there are different types of MOOCs. There are very popular two types of MOOCs which are very popular. But before I talk on the types, I would like to give you some brief idea about these MOOCs and how they are popular. As I told you, MOOCs are massive open online courses. These are online courses. The aim is unlimited participation. They give open access via websites in addition to traditional courses or traditional material such as film lectures or reading or problem sets. Many MOOCs provide interactive user forums. They provide such platforms where you can have a lot of interaction. There is a lot of support surveys. There are different names in different service providers give different names to it. But generally it is known as discussion forum. So there is a lot of discussion, interaction among students. That means peers. Those who are learning, participants, they interact a lot. Professors, they also talk to them. Teaching assistants or those team manager, those whosoever is involved in this, they all discuss, they all provide their feedback, and they try to learn together. Open licensing of content is generally found. Structure of learning goal. See, these programs are generally structured and they promote remixing of the courses and different kind of such things. Now, after knowing about MOOCs, you may be interested in knowing about the types of MOOCs. Friend, popularly, there are two types of MOOCs. One is known as XMOOC and another one is known as CMOOC. I just told you before some time, but I would like to give you some detail about it. The XMOOC is generally rigidity in structure of the platform. They decide one platform and they follow the platform only, and they provide all the data, all the things on that platform only. While CMOOCs, they are connectivist approach. They use different platforms, multiple platforms, not like just that they will use only one platform. If we talk about XMOOCs, it is a limited external, it provides limited external links and type of exercises. The type of exercises it provide, the links they provide, they are generally limited. And CMOOCs, they do not run on a single website. They have multiple websites. They have one centralized MOOC content, but they use different links from different softwares and different websites. Exactly, this XMOOCs are convened on a designated platform only, while CMOOCs, they have network and they are working on different networks. If I quote McNess, he says, these XMOOCs may offer alternative sites such as Facebook or Twitter, but the course runs principally on the main platform, where interaction takes place and discussion forums. While in CMOOCs, they are based on network cooperation rather than group collaboration. So network cooperation is more important in CMOOCs. We have another one slide on the same difference between CMOOCs and XMOOCs. You can have a look at this slide and you can understand what are the differences between these two. CMOOCs, if we talk about, they are social technical system of learning where the teacher's voice is not an essential hub, but a node is overall network. If we look more about it, it is a creation, exploration of topics or areas in atelier environment. Unique products created by students like blog posts, images, diagrams, videos are available there. There are discussion forums, Digo groups, Twitter, and other social networkings are key and they are very important. Facilitator aggregates, reviews, summarizes, and reflects on activity in daily or weekly newsletter. Blockstrap platform and collaboration tools are there. If we look at now XMOOCs, what it is, let us try to look at it. These XMOOCs are predetermined, instructor-led, structured, and sequenced weekly activities. They are short content-based videos, reading problem sets. There are quizzes, and generally these quizzes are auto-graded. They are peer-graded assessments, discussion forums, and delivered via third-party platforms like Coursera, edX. You all are aware of these platforms, that how these platforms deliver different kind of MOOCs. You all are aware and you know how they work on these different platforms. So these are very popular about it. Friends, now I would like to take you to very important part of this, and the important part is 4-quadrant approach. These MOOCs, they use different approaches which are very popular, but the 4-quadrant approach is very popular. Before we go to 4-quadrant approach, I would like to just brief you about the advantages and disadvantages of MOOCs. These MOOCs, let us talk about the advantages. Everything, each coin has two sides. So like that, everything has two sides. Let us try to critically look at the MOOCs. If I look at the advantages, or if I took the advantages at the front, they create an opportunity for sharing ideas and knowledge. You have an opportunity, you have something with you which provide you with an opportunity where you can discuss several ideas, and whatever comes to your mind in innovative way, your ideas and knowledge can be shared with people. There is convenience of learning, peer learning also happens, collaboration between learner and educator happens, and that is quite often, and that is something which is expected. It can have a multilingual support also. You can have it in different languages. It can test your know-how on particular subject as it enhances active learning. Exactly, MOOCs invite a lot of active learning. They activate participants and they involve them. No Prerequisites are required for MOOCs learning. Say, for example, it doesn't say that, okay, you need to pass 10th and then only you go for this. Generally, no prerequisites are there. Contact times are between learner and educator. So they are also in discussion, like experiments, discussion, project, works, or group. And the best part is it is at our time, our place, and our pace, at our speed. So these are the advantages of MOOCs. If I talk about the disadvantages, MOOC is generally very less accredited. Very few people accredited, but I would like to tell you, friends, this disadvantage has gone now. Most of the universities accredited. If I talk about India, then it is accredited by AICTE, it is accredited by UGC, and UGC and AICTE are promoting SWAYAM MOOCs, and they are saying that this should be taken into credit in most of the universities. Face-to-face communication is lost. Yes, friends, that is a loss. So teacher is not available face-to-face. Grading is sometimes difficult because the volume is sometimes very high, research papers, essays, and these things if we keep in mind sometimes. The biggest problem is the dropout. Many people gets drop out of this, and they are not motivated to continue in the MOOCs because it is at their speed. So these are some of the areas which we have to look at when we talk about MOOCs in different way. As I told you, I would like to take you now to most important part of MOOCs. When you create MOOC, what you have to take care of. The most important part of MOOC is 4-quadrant approach. Quadrant 1 talks about a tutorial. It says that quadrant 1, that means you can take quadrants as sections. Section 1 says that it should have, or quadrant 1 says that it shall have video, audio content in an organized form, animation, simulations, video demonstrations, virtual labs. This all should be there, and there should be a transcriptions for the video also. If you look at quadrant 2, it says that it shall contain self-instructional material, ebooks, illustrations, case studies, presentations, web resources, references, links, open source content, videos, case studies, books including ebooks, research papers, and journals, and whatnot. Third quadrant is assessment. This shall contain problems and solutions, which could be in the form of multiple choice questions, fill in the blanks, matching questions, short answer questions, long answer questions, quizzes, assignments, solutions, discussion forums, and this kind of things. And the most important part here is quadrant 4. And quadrant 4 talks about discussion forum. Wherever anybody has any doubt, any comment, they can discuss in discussion forum, and the coordinator or many a time the teacher or sometimes the peers, they can also answer to whatever they would like to. So there are comments, there are various things from different people, and they are answered by they are answered by their peers. Sometimes they are answered by their friends. Sometimes they are answered by the teachers who are talking to them, who are teaching them. So there are various ways how these MOOCs take place, and this is how this teaching and learning in MOOCs through 4 quadrants take place. Now I would like to tell you, friends, when we talk this much about MOOCs, which are the popular MOOCs in the world, let us try to have a look at the popular MOOCs of the world. These, you can see the list. These are the popular MOOCs of the world. They are edX, they are Udacity, they are Class Central, these are called as MOOC providers. They are MexicoX, they are FutureLearn, they are Coursera, Merida, SWAYAM, very popular platform of India. So these are various platforms through which MOOCs are provided to the world, and world people see MOOCs and they learn in MOOCs. Friends, this is the SWAYAM platform is one of the very important or very popular platform in India. It is said that this is the largest MOOCs platform in the world, and it has the largest number of participants and students in India. When we talk about this MOOCs, I would like to tell you, I'll just like to show you sample MOOCs video of my 2 MOOCs. I told you that I have floated 2 different MOOC programs. Now, when you would like to prepare your own MOOC, how should you prepare? What kind of MOOC it should be? how you can make it interesting. Let us try to look at the sample so that you can understand how you can make it.
Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yoga karmasu kaushalam.
Namaskar friends, welcome to National Resource Center of Gujarat University. We are going to be a part of history. Yes friends, we are going to create a history. Friends, I am presenting a refresher course, which is online refresher course at your place, your time and your pace. It is an online refresher course on English language teaching. This course is intended to transform us, all of us, from good teachers to effective teachers. And is a
So see friends, this is a program in which this is one of the promo video in which I have tried to show how this MOOCs are trained.
To enhance our competence.
You can look at this various kind of animations which enhances the value of this video.
Engage us in collaborative teamwork, in taking learning and teaching beyond the boundaries of the classrooms, to use ICT tools for effective teaching and learning.
So this is how various kind of multimedia is shown, and this is how I'm presenting this MOOCs. If you look at this next part, it will show you again different kind of multimedia, type of multimedia which you can integrate with your program when you are going for such MOOCs.
Learning, research and inquiry in the field of English language teaching, learning and testing. It is a course of 40 hours, 20 hours of e-content and 20 hours of video content. It is flexible. We need to complete 40 hours in 2 to 3 months time. It will be a blend of e-text, self-check exercises, tasks, activities, audio and video content, assignments with continuous and term-end evaluation. There is a group of enthusiastic techno-savvy experts invited.
So see friends, this is how it gets presented. Now you can have a look at this another promo video. Just look at the beginning, how it happens. The beginning comes out with a multimedia logo of Gujarat University.
In collaborative teamwork,
Yoga karmasu kaushalam.
So this is how I am presenting
the course
various
is not
people
planned.
here.
It is just an 40 hours.
As I've shown you, this kind of multimedia is used here.
Teaching prose, teaching poetry, phonetics, flipped and blended learning. Explore new areas which will be useful to all of us.
So friends, this is how we can prepare. This is how we can prepare our own video. When we are preparing our video, we have to take care of many things. Like we should look at some multimedia content. We should try to look at various kind of devices which can impress our viewers. See, it is said that more than 5 or 7 minutes, nobody can concentrate on one thing. If you have a video of maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes, how will people concentrate on that? So you should use different devices. These devices will enable your participants. That they will be compelled to look at your content, and it should be made very interesting. It should be presented very interesting in a very interesting way. That's why I have shown you some examples. You can have a look at some more examples on YouTube or at some other places, and you will be able to learn more about it. Now I would like to show you which are the most popular MOOCs all over the world. These are the 5 top rated MOOC providers in the world. If you look at Coursera, that I tell you, that steals the whole show. 27 million people have already registered for Coursera. This is global index which I am showing to you. If we talk about India, The leader in India is Swayam, as I told you. These are the various ways, or these are the various kind of things attached in MOOCs, Udacity, edX, Khan Academy, and Coursera. These are the front runner players. And friends, if you look at this, I would like to show you that there are investors, there are donors, there are professors, there are alumni fellows, there are board members, and there are other people who all contribute to this. If you look at this, there are universities who provide this kind of services. There are other than university people, they are also providing this. Like we have people from New Enterprise Association, people from companies like Pearson, like Google, and they also provide various kind of such MOOCs to people. There are different departments which provide this kind of MOOCs to people. So there are various players who work in this MOOCs. Friends, when we talk of MOOCs, it is important we should learn that how to create a better content for this MOOCs. Because friends, after all, what we present on MOOCs, we present a content on MOOCs which is e-content. And if you create a good e-content, then only people will be able to see it, people will love to see it. Otherwise, if you will not be able to create a good e-content, then people will not be interested in watching it. So when I say good e-content, exactly what kind of e-content it should be. So let's try to have a look at what I mean by e-content when I talk to you about e-content. Friends, this is a kind of e-content which is generally provided to people. You can see here, it talks about ideas, it shows computer, it shows mind in which this idea gets formulated, it shows mobile, it shows tab. And here in the above symbol here, the symbol is of a cloud computing. It talks about instructional design, ADDIE model, and these are the things which all together make it a good e-content. When I talk of e-content, I mean these things which I'm showing you. I mean digital picture, I mean digitally recorded audio, I mean digital text, and I mean a video. This all including together, they becomes a digital e-content. So when you talk of e-content, let me give you a very simple example. How can you create your e-content? The e-content creation is very simple, is very easy. Just take your mobile, click a picture, and that picture is an e-content. Now, what picture you are clicking is very important, because you will click pictures of such authentic material which you'd like to show to people. There are images. Now you can record your audio. Let us take example of just WhatsApp, a very simple application. You can record your audio using WhatsApp. So that is also e-content. You can use your mobile to record your video. You can create some notes on that. You can create exercises. You can make it smart in different ways. So this is how e-content gets created. And this e-content gets promoted or posted on websites on using different mediums like Coursera, Swayam, or edX. Now we are the teachers. We know how to deliver content. We are very good in delivering content. But friends, I know that we are not experts as far as things related to editing comes, as far as things related to animation creation comes, as far as video shooting is there, or it plays a very important role. So as far as this e-content kind of things are concerned, what our most important role is? Our most important role is we should come out with content. We should come out with presentation idea. But then we can use several services, we can hire several services, and those services can be used sparingly to make our e-content better. Support services are very important, because teacher is not expert of all. That is what I always believe. But friends, I tell you, before you go to the support services, before you try to prepare your own MOOC, before you try to prepare your own course, there are several things which you should try for yourself. Let's try to be an active part of online content. How you can be that? First of all and foremost thing is you should join some online course. If you'll join some online course, then only you will understand ins and outs of the course. Because what happens is, we started teaching online courses. We would like to prepare MOOCs. We would like to come out with online courses, but we never experienced online courses. So first thing important is, you yourself should undergo online courses. If I talk about myself, I have attended more than 10 online courses, and then I launched my course. So first is this. Then we have to learn basics of e-content. What is e-content? How to develop e-content? How to do that? So the basics ABC of e-content is to be learned. Editing is to be learned. We should learn just basic editing, how to trim some video, how to cut some video, how to reduce the noise of it, how to set the background for it. So these simple things we should learn. Then comes assessment. We should try to learn assessment, because assessment in MOOCs, assessment in online courses is different than face-to-face assessment. We should try to make our people active. Activity is very important. Let me tell you one activity. You are watching my video. I want all of you to respond to this video. Just write one line comment on this, how you find this video. Give your one line feedback on this. I would like to see how many of you are really active. So we need to make people active. We need to make people responsive. So it is our duty to make them active. It is our duty to make them responsive. And if we will make them responsive, they will really be attentive and they will do things in a better way. So friends, after all, it is our role, how much we really get involved in this, how much we show it to them. These are various tools which we can use. Plenty of tools are available, as you know. You can look at this Google Reader, Google Docs, Google Sites, Twitter, Skype, Wikispaces, SlideShare, Dropbox, Zing, whatnot. Dingo, Delicious, Facebook, Avatars, Chrome, Firefox. There are plenty of digital tools which you can use and through which you can make your learning experience, teaching experience, an interesting experience. Friends, you may be wondering that why I'm saying learning experience. Because when you go for online teaching, it happens like it is a teaching and learning. It is not just learning. It is not just teaching. It is not just that you are delivering to your students, but you yourself is learning. It is a learning together, because it is said by one of very famous philosopher that when somebody teach, there are two who learn. One who is really learning and one who is teaching. So we together can learn. We together can make a difference. And friends, MOOCs are not at all difficult. They are not alien. It is not a rocket science. As I told you, you can try yourself. Let me give you a very simple hint. As I just told you before some time, that take a click from your mobile. Like that, you can record yourself in a mobile. You can record your voice in a mobile. It's so simple. But friends, if you want to make it effective, if you really want to make it presentable, very good, then you should work on it. You should try to look at your pictures once again. You should try to look at your videos again and again. You should try to edit them. You should try to add some elements which are interesting, which your students will love. But I tell you, friends, this is how really you can make very interesting MOOCs. And MOOCs is the future of the world. This is a kind of learning and teaching where whole future of education is dependent. The world, the developed countries, most of the people in the world, including India, now are dependent on online learning. And friends, many a time people say that, okay, it's just a filler. It's for time gap. It's for just certain time that we are learning online. Now, when the COVID will go away, we will again be face to face and all things will be normal. But you would have listened the term new normal. So we are normals, but we are new normals now. Once you learn how to use it effectively, I'm very sure, friends, you will not leave it, because this is something which is very interesting. And once you will learn how to take assistance of this technology, how you can go for technology assisted teaching and learning, it is very interesting, friends. And you can make your teaching and learning very effective. So I want all of you, friends, to learn these things very effectively, to practice these things very effectively, and to make your experience, a teaching learning experience, very effective experience. With these words, I would like to tell you, happy learning, learn MOOCs, try to explore MOOCs, try to explore maximum MOOCs you can. There are free courses which are available. Try to look at it, enroll in that, and then try to develop your courses. I would like to see all of you on national platforms, international platforms, delivering and connecting with the world and sharing your knowledge and expertise with the world. And this is the world of collaboration and learning together. So I would like to say, with this, I would like to thank the organizers. I would like to thank all the participants, and I would like to say happy learning to all of you. My email address is available here. If you have any doubts, if you have any queries, you can mail it to me. I'll be happy to answer your queries or questions. Let us try to grow together. Let us make a difference by learning together, by working together. After all, we work for the future of education. We work for the students, and they are the future of education. Thank you. I would like to thank all of you. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all the participants and the organizers. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Namaskar to all of you.